into the server. We don't want to see a 7-0. We want Parabellum to come in and show us more of that action that they gave us against NIP, showing that they are very capable to be here. You know, you got to remember, all of these teams have earned their place here at the SI. There's, you know, they've all had to go through the same or similar process, be it, you know, qualification through the global standings system or be it through an open qualifier. None of it is easy. So to get here, you are a good team, and that is definitely what we saw out of Parabellum against NIP.
These bans coming out are quite interesting because in the previous fixture, SSG banned away, sorry, SSG, Parabellum banned away the Thatcher, it's been banned by SSG, and the Ying that was banned by Oxygen has been banned by Parabellum, so just kind of trading places on that one, and perhaps even if this is a mirror ban, they've literally done a total mirror. Okay, so they have. These are identical bans to what came in the game against Oxygen, but Parabellum have banned the two operators that Oxygen banned, and SSG have banned the ones that Parabellum banned. Always good to see a little bit of a bait and switch between the two teams, but again, that plays into this narrative that we're thinking is going to be the case of SSG have taken a good look and just said, look at what happened against Oxygen. What went right? What went wrong? What can we take from it? And let's see if we can replicate. It's going to be, though, a little bit of a flip because Parabellum are the ones starting on the defense, whereas last time around it was Oxygen who were on the defense, Parabellum having to start with the attack. And just in case you missed it, we are being observed by Medics, the one true GOAT of the observing world.
Well, we're heading down to Laundry and Supply Room for round number 1. And as you say, we've got Parabellum on the defence this time around. We're going to have the Arune just 6th picked out by Spirits onto the Valkyrie there. So a very information-heavy lineup here, Des. We've got Euphoria on the Mozzie as well. Looking primarily, of course, to deny drones access. But if you can grab one or two of them and put them to use as well, along with 3 black eye cameras, that could leave us with an absolute ton of information in the hands of Parabellum. They well could have the read on exactly what SSG are doing here in round 1.
I like how I've seen quite a few teams picking Jackal back up again. For the longest time, he was kind of retired into, but put on the shelf, never ready to be seen, and for the longest time, we haven't seen him used in competitive play. But here at SI, it feels that we're seeing him nearly every single map. Joystick first repopularizing that as his old school operator. I remember one of the first ever games that I watched of competitive Siege was him playing that operator on Coastline. And here today, a good number of teams still bringing along to help with that roam game. And well, if you're Fultz, also apparently getting the double kill with the ITA as we saw on Coastline not too long ago. Round is underway though. SSG are in the field and Parabellum going to be looking to hold them back for as long as possible, waste a bit of time because unlike the Coastline map that we had just before this one, it is a little bit larger. There is more room for disruption from the defenders, and I do want to see Parabellum getting up in the face of SSG and trying to burn a bit of time, burn through some operators to try and force some mistakes out of the world champions.
Rampy immediately taking care of the basics there, getting rid of all the default cams. Now Esker looking to get aggressive, he will do, and shots rain in. Fultz is going to take a little bit of damage. I'm not sure if he's actually...
I don't think he knew.
I don't think he knew where that came from.
Poor.
He was trying to put shots into Attic instead. He finds himself a kill onto Penguin, so no harm done to Fultz really other than about 30 HP. He's able to continue fighting and get a kill for the side of SSG, leaving us 5 versus 4 inside the first minute. And Parabellum, Des, they need to make sure that they don't keep giving away cheap entry kills like that because it'll wear them down.
Absolutely will, but I do like the aggression we're seeing coming out of them. One in small tower, one in big tower, one in meeting. They are looking to contest everything, so much so that with the reinforcement coming in onto this double meeting wall, I didn't even clock this initially, that meeting hatch is open where normally it would be reinforced, and what they've done is say let's commit those reinforcements instead onto the wall facing out towards big tower and force them to almost treat this as if, at least initially, it's like a meeting take. That's why you saw the Mavericks starting off on that wall. Now they've got this opened up, they'll know that it would have forced the defenders back out of meeting, and there is going to be less concern around this. For them to now drop, I imagine, through big tower and to push through construction. No one currently looking to play on the electric box drop.
Air jab just deployed there to prevent any access being returned for Parabellum into meeting, and going to have SSG just moving in through small tower as well to try and sweep across, make sure that kitchen and dining is clear, and then potentially they may well choose to apply a little bit of pressure down into freezer as well. But I think it's more about chasing Spirits for the time being. The Valkyrie still up on the top floor. We've only got 2 in sight at the minute. There's Esker out on the roam as well, and SSG, I hope that they're aware of these two, otherwise it could come back to bite them.
I'm always wondering about the one pushing through meeting right now and the damage that he might yet be able to do. Esker holding up here. They've got one guy laid down halfway up top of Big Tower, so if he does push into meeting, he's probably going to get himself domed out through those ace holes that were opened up earlier on. Grenade comes singing through, well placed, but not going to connect into a kill. 2 kills to kick things off though for SSG. They've got the numbers advantage, and this is where you start to panic a bit if you're Parabellum, more so when Fultz can walk on site and make this happen. There's no one to stop this plant going down. No C4s come singing, I say that, and one comes over the wall, but it's not enough. Fultz firing the triple, a 1 versus 4, the plant going down once again, and Euphoria's got to do some magic here. If he can stake his way in, it would have been something special, but Nade is there waiting around Pillar to put Euphoria in the dirt and to give round 1 to SSG.
Fultz was absolutely everywhere on that round. He was picking up kills, he was getting the diffuser down at the end. It was all about Fultz and where he was, what he could do, and he wins the round for SSG. And Parabellum on the back foot there. The roam not really working out for them, Des. They were a little bit unlucky, to be fair. You know, I picked up on Fultz there, and he has had a great round. He's just come out of being really, really influential there, and he almost lost his life in the first 20 or 30 seconds. Esker very nearly getting that kill across the map, but was unable to lock it down.
Okay. That's the way it plays out sometimes for Parabellum. You have to warm into it for 2 or 3 rounds. Some teams take a bit of time. We've said this a number of times over in this competition. It's not always a immediate start. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 rounds to really get into the swing of things. And against NIP, it definitely wasn't a fast process. Stepping into the next round, nothing really worth shouting home about in terms of changes, except maybe leaning in towards these Aruni laser gates is. On this player day, not being rocked by a sexy cake. We could go on with all these words of ways that you say the wonderful things that I love about you so much. And I imagine this time around we're not going to see the hole coming inside a meeting. No, we won't, as that hatch has been reinforced up rather than it being committed towards the 2 meeting walls.
Euphoria just using those laser gates to prevent access into bunker there. We can see just, again, it's about A, delaying things, and B, also burning some utility. It's going to need a drone or a piece of throwable utility to go through that laser gate in order to grant access. And when you're trying to clear a smoke off the elbow position, for example, it is more and more important to keep hold of that utility and be able to use it. Now, Rampy this time going straight into the top floor as they've recognised that they didn't close down those roamers quite as effectively as they might have liked, so this time they are going to try and do just exactly that. But Rampy, he gets found out up on the top floor. Esker with the nitro just runs back to site to fight another day, and that's a great start from Parabellum to round 2.
Really big as well, because they knew Rampy had the idea that someone was playing at the top of Freezer Stairs there, and he could pin him down, much like we saw against the Warden on the previous map, when I believe it was Rampy also holding him down with the buck. But rather than leaving his man stranded and just beatlining it straight back to site itself, pulls out the C4, goes for the assist, and both of them get away unscathed. Good start for Parabellum. And I think Rampy there being caught slightly unaware that there were 2 playing at the top of Freezer Stairs rather than just the 1.
I think you're right there, Penguin, just repositioning the deployable shield onto the rotation there, maybe just getting a sense that there could be a Freezer or a laundry push. Freezer is looking good right now as Canadian is going to open that hatch. Fultz stays in and around the kitchen. I think he's just scurried through into security, actually looking to pressure from the hatch initially. Euphoria is going to hold his position down there for the time being, but will likely be forced out of here, I would expect, in the not too distant future.
You'd hope so. SSG got a lot of pressure in this case currently, controlling pretty much all of the ground floor, everyone else scurrying around downstairs. That's a losing the first one, even with SSG being a man behind. Parabellum 2, so it's not too keen to go hyper aggressive here and try and cause any more trouble. Just happy to play back on site with the brief numbers advantage that they've got, or the minor numbers advantage, I suppose you could call it. You've got Sona playing in Harry Potter at the bottom, as it is indeed that area under the stairs, in case you don't quite get that reference. All these smokes being committed super early on. Let's not forget that the plant focus comes inside a supply at the top side coming from Electric Box. Normally the main point of denial there is smokes and C4s, but with all of those smokes now being committed towards Big Tower Stairs, feels like a little bit panicked out of Parabellum to use them so early.
It does. We've got a lot of drones raining in here. There's going to be ample information for SSG on where everybody is playing on the side of Parabellum. Canadian, he manages to use that information to find a headshot onto Penguin, and you can just feel Parabellum being pushed deeper and deeper right now. Esker manages to get one onto Bosco, however, and the numbers are stacking up for Parabellum, but are they aware of Fultz? I think so, as Sona finds him, shuts him down, and Parabellum, they tie things up immediately, 1-1 on the scoreboard, and they are certainly not here to get run over by SSG.
Yeesh, that's a total turnaround on how the first round played out as well, where SSG looked super dominant. Fultz looked like a man lost in the woods as his team were all being snatched by the darkness around him. Unfortunate, but it shows again that there's a good bit of balance between these two teams, and we are in for a bit of a treat rather than just say a 7-0 stomping by SSG, as much as that would put all of their many fans' hearts at rest nice and easy. It seems to be the day that we've been cursed. We were joking the day about Stream B being the overtime stream, but now it feels like it's just kind of becoming a recurrent theme throughout the whole competition, Ace.
Well, it seems to be, I'd normally say that it's, you know, the games that we cast, but as you say, the games that we sat and watched together today was exactly
we
the
just
same,
look at the game, overtime.
Overtime.
Just blink at it, overtime.
There's a long way to go before we get there yet. We are 1-all, of course. This is best of 12, so we would have to see 6-all on the scoreboard to take us through to that overtime, which would be a best of 3. So there is lots of Siege to be played before we get to that point. We are only in round 3, and this time Parabellum will be defending the top floor site. They will be defending the dorms area now then. Sonar's just opening up that wall to give the pretty stock standard line of sight from the white stairs. You can play that through not only onto the plant spot, but also all the way through onto the trophy door as well. We've got the yokai drones being deployed from Euphoria. They tend to now get sort of hidden away. Try and keep them in corners, under objects, under furniture, anything you can to try and keep them alive, because of course they don't turn invisible anymore when they are up on the ceiling.
They're playing cat and mouse, Ace, is the way they look at it.
We've seen an interesting use of the yokai drones lately, Des, and that has been using them as sort of active drones for the roamers. So the Echo will sit and basically do the job of what an attacker would do. They'll send the yokai drone out ahead of one of their roamers and just feed information back in and help them pick up frags. It's been sort of moderately successful.
They're used very actively is the way to describe them. They're not just there to fire out the occasional sonic blast and interrupt a plant, although of course that is their primary function. Sometimes it's more on the actual entry that you're using them to disrupt and disorientate the attackers to give your teammates an advantage. I like how we're seeing more varied use of it. I know everyone was thinking when we first saw it, oh man, Echo's going to be useless, they're not invisible anymore. Teams have adapted, and that is absolutely wonderful to see. Anyway, the round continues. 45 seconds in, and we're starting off with a bit of an east take. You can see 3 members from SSG set up down towards the southwest side. Armory being taken by them, as well as the armory stairs. And you've got Rampy looking to do what we kind of renowned Shaiko for doing in EU, pushing across from the west side on the book and looking to open up much of the flooring below to give the defenders something to think about. But it's almost like Parabellum are prepared for this. They've got one man waiting currently inside of kitchen, ready to greet the aggressor.
Penguin just signalling there that the X-Kairos pellets has been applied to the game's wall. I'm sure he heard them being shot on there by Canadian on the Hibana. That's going to open that wall from Master Closet through to Games Room, so the plant spot does become available now. They've got Canadian there on hand. He does have the diffuser. So now for SSG, it's all about finding a couple of kills. They need to get this locked down. This is it. Once again, Des, they're not picking up on those roamers. They may well have the flanks covered, but we will see as the round progresses. Bosco and Sonar, they will trade each other out. Spirits is still down there at the bottom of the main stairs, just at that meeting door, and he could prove to be a significant problem in this final minute.
Here we go, the push back up armory. That brief trade now kind of being forgotten about for a moment, but oh, looking the wrong way. There's one flanker coming in. Oh, buddy, your mate's already there. I've already got it covered down, guy. Don't shoot. It's Penguin. It's your pal for a long time standing. They've got control of the east side, and now Rampy has got some work to do, opening up the floor. You've got Nade as they're trying to play hot potato, dancing around the floor. The floor is lava. He's below, but nothing to be found. It's Spirits picking up that kill onto him instead. Parabellum in a 4 versus 2, and SSG, just as they were priming, they got the staging ready to go for a plant inside of games. By the looks of it, it's simply not going to happen.
Penguin knows that he's stuck here. He's got Thinking Nade watching the angle. He has to move away as the breaching charge
lie down.
comes in, but all he does is lie down and look at taking that fight. Fultz, however, knows exactly where he is and finds the headshot through the floor, and that is great play from SSG as they manage to level things out 2-2. This well could be a round that is snatched from the jaws of defeat, but no, they move in through the rotation. They have to get the diffuser down now. Thinking Nade is going for it, but Esker, he's aware. He knows exactly where that little box is being planted, and he will find the kill onto Thinking Nade, closing out another round for Parabellum. And Des, it all comes down to 2 things: not dealing with the roamers or being aware of their presence, and not having, if you're not going to deal with the roamers, that's fine, but you've at least got to have the flank watch there to cover it.
Absolutely. Got completely turned upside down by Parabellum, it felt, towards the end of that round. And for SSG, they showed the capability to almost come back in that 2 versus 4. It came down to the 1 versus 1, but unfortunately, I always say, after a famous saying from my football club, the clock becomes the 6th man. I often say that a certain end at our football ground is the 12th man when it all comes down to brass tacks. And in this case here, the clock waits for no one, especially not the attackers. 2-1 then to Parabellum. It's a good start. It's what you wanted to see from them. I think, as you said to me a couple of times this tournament, you wanted to come into an SI where every team was competitive, where it wasn't going to be the expected teams storm into the top of the leaderboard. Giants, Cloud9, Parabellum all fall into the bottom, and it would be a super clean group stage started by day 2. We wanted close, and close is what we're being given. Just to reiterate what we said at the start, if Parabellum win this game, there are 7 teams. There are only 8 in the group. There will be 7 teams sat at 2 and 2. That 18 that wouldn't be there is Oxygen, but they've only played 2 games so far, so who knows, they could also be 2 and 2 after 4 games, in which case it's all completely open going into Sunday, and that's what you want for your weekend days. A lot of indecision, a lot of anxiety. What a great way to end the week.
Just what we need for a weekend. I think ultimately, you know, the best sentence that I've heard in the last 24 hours, Des, was simply...
Finish ready?
Well, apart from that, was simply... Every team has now got a win on the board.
Yes.
That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to see. I was so happy to see Giants and Parabellum both get those wins today. And it's right now, game on. You know, any team can go home here. Any team can go through. Upper bracket, lower bracket, all still to be decided. There is really very little advantage. We've got a little bit more shape inside of the group. Now then, how about that damage done to Penguin? Fultz taking some for his pleasure, though, across the same long angle. And I'm surprised that they keep trying that one, Des. They've already took chip damage off Fultz from there previously and really risking their lives to try and get a kill there.
One thing's for sure, I don't think you'll see them doing that again, because this is the first time that Fultz shot back first. The previous round, Fultz took about the same amount of damage, but then killed Penguin, who was on the stairs downstairs, rather than going for the guy who was in small tower. This time around, it's actually Penguin who's playing in small tower rather than in big tower. So now he's backed away and also brought the Goyo shield with him. That has been redeployed and set up. This is dining and kitchen defense. So you're normally looking towards a lot of vertical defense coming out to start things up. Fultz just admiring the building work around him and saying, man, I could really do one of these back home.
Starts to remodel as the Ash breaching charge goes out, looking to get that vertical control and then use it. Esker still up on the top floor for the time being, so SSG won't have it all their own way for the time being.
It was the Goyo that ran into the air jab, so one of those consumed. The last one has now been put down by Nade as well, so hopefully trying to control those roamers. You said about the flank watch, or about having control of them, either killing them early on or blocking off their paths with things like the air jabs. At least this time around it is being considered. And there's also, of course, a Claymore down. Here we go, the trade coming in to start things off. But Spirits strikes big against Fultz to make sure that that trade goes in the favor of Parabellum. 4 versus 3 and about 60 seconds still to play with here. There's still much opportunity for SSG to make something happen. But you always worry about the late rounds disruption that we've seen coming out of Parabellum time and time again.
Penguin at the rear stage stairs, just dipping up and down there, keeping himself unpredictable now. Bosco, he knows that he needs to pay a little bit of attention, but he does have an air jab to cover him off. And I believe that the Goyo has already been through one, so he will know what that process is all about. Rampy and thinking they are still not convinced, I don't think, that that top floor is clear. They're continuing to be careful and make sure that it is, and they will be able to move in and take control now. Look to start applying some vertical pressure down onto site, but with 20 seconds left to go, 25 seconds rather, they've still got work to do. Rampy's going to drop down from attic now then. The hard breach has been opened, so access is available into site, but they've got Penguin just holding a tight angle there and ready for this push. Bosco, Rampy, thinking it, all coming in from the east side there. Out go the smoke grenades, out come the smoke arrows, and here comes the push. But no, too easy, as you say, Des. Penguin and Spirits ready for it.
No one has seen that, but I turned to you with a very confused expression on my face then, because no drones on the top floor. Burn both of the Goyo, the Capital Firebolt, trying to clear out someone that isn't even there. They then go for the push in. The smoke goes quite deep towards security door, I think, to prevent a swing coming in from Zulu. There's no one there. They're already inside of security, and you walk into him completely blind. That just screamed a bit of a lack of information from SSG, and with how they spent about 2.5 minutes on the top floor dancing around when no one was present, looked a little bit lost and confused in themselves in a way. And maybe that's down to the rapid rotations coming out of Parabellum, up and down stairs, up and down floors, seemingly constantly. But as it stands, Parabellum are looking like a very composed team in here in Oregon. A very different story to what we saw against Oxygen.
Dread to think what's going on with people's channels points at the hands of Parabellum.
I was in chat about half an hour ago. People were having a meltdown. Like, I put all my points on Parabellum earlier. I'm completely poor. I need to get something back. If you've come into this game and you bet on SSG, there's a problem. That's all I'm saying, because it is far from guaranteed that they're going to walk away the winner. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I need to find out what the current split is, because I think it's going to be so spicy. 24% for Parabellum, I'm told by Medics.
Well, that to me suggests that the belief is growing, Des.
The belief is growing, or that people with nothing to lose. They've got about 200 points in the bank, and they've just thrown it all on Parabellum, saying, let's hope for the best.
Well, SSG are going to be hoping for the best if this continues. 3-1 now for Parabellum, and going well here on their defensive phase. We can see a similar setup downstairs. There's Lasergate's in the same positions. Now, have SSG learnt to deal with the roamers? That is the question. We've seen them quite active from Parabellum. If you remember last time around, it was Esker that got the vertical nitro onto Rampy as he went into the top floor. And that's what I like there from Parabellum, Des, is they did roam on that top floor to begin with, the first time that they defended Laundry Basement. So then Rampy goes in to clear it. They're not there anymore. They're guessing that somebody's going to go in to clear them out from there, so they play one floor down, take the vertical nitro instead. We'll see if Parabellum are able to find themselves yet another evolution of that roam here on Oregon. But for the time being, Rampy is moving through very cautiously, just looking to clear out along with Fultz from that kitchen side over.
Rampy on Ace is a fun one. Not really used to see him play on the non-aggressive operators in this case here, playing much more supportive role alongside Canadian on the Habana. It's opening things up at least on the ground floor. They seem to have most of the control they need here, and in rapid time. About 55 seconds have elapsed, and they have all they need. And in fact, every single member of Parabellum is now on the ground floor. But I wonder if SSG get inside their own heads here, wondering, is there anyone roaming on the top floor? Is there someone keeping us busy elsewhere around the map? We've got to be really careful of that. Doesn't appear to be the case. They've got drones starting to get set up, peeking onto the downstairs. A couple of grenades singing in to try and deal with Sona, who we criticised last round for burning through all 3 of his smoke canisters very early on. This time he's deployed the first at 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining, Ace. That is really early.
It is burning through that utility, so good progress from SSG, just forcing that really, making him feel like he's in a position where he has to. And honestly, Des, I'm not sure he even wanted to detonate that one there. I think he just sort of felt that's out of reach for me to reclaim. He would already seen him pick it up once, threw it again, and then I'm still not sure it landed exactly where he wanted, but activated nonetheless, and that is 2 of those Toxic Babe canisters gone. We hear the 3rd one go off as we speak, so with 1 minute and 10 left to go, Des, the smoke is out of utility.
Good coordination, the drone coming in to scare Penguin back, so we can't just spray those Ace Salma charges off of the Shiko wall. With that being opened up, they get forced back. However, the kills are still raining in. Bosco goes for a peek round. He's got some barbs to deal with first, but still wants to take this gunfight onto Penguin, who's holding at the bottom of elbow. We said SSG had 2 minutes to make this happen. They need to make it happen. Esker is just better. Finds one, 3 versus 3, and 40 seconds remain.
Rampy, he's holding his angle in through electrical door there. Esker, he's just going to sit there all day long and wait for this one. He does have an impact nade in hand, but won't be really sufficient in terms of the explosives to deny a plant. But it's Penguin who will try to throw over the nitro, won't find any kills, and he's taking the very late round reinforce. I love it, Des. I love the spirit. Getting the reinforce up in place, but Rampy, he pushes around the angle. Bosco is down through the Maverick hole, but ultimately it's the Parabellum boys who get the kills. Euphoria, Penguin, Esker, all mixing it up and shutting it down, and that is another round to Parabellum. Des, they looked good against NIP. They're looking convincing here against SSG.
I almost feel bad that we came into SI saying Parabellum, bit of a write-off. Probably not going to do too well. We're marred by the issues of the whole NAL transfers when the collapse of the Canadian division came through, and everyone was thinking, for these boys here, it's a chance to show up, have a bit of fun, and then go home and crack on figuring out what's going to happen next. But my God, are they making a name for themselves? I hope there's a lot of people watching, because these may be some names that you come to remember. I remember, in fact, being told by Meepy, who used to coach the old Altiora roster, which was all these boys, just under a different name before all the changes came through that those in NA will be aware of. And he said, one thing you cannot take away from them is their fearlessness. They will never back away from a fight or be scared by a name like Fultz, Rampy, or Canadian as he bears down on you and screams in your face, it feels like. They don't care. They will take gunfights all day long. They are fearless. They are aggressive. But what I'm loving seeing is its controlled aggression. This roam game that they've got set up is forcing SSG to second guess themselves seemingly all the time. And even in that round where, 2 minutes 13 left? We said no one's roaming, they're all on site. SSG still take their time and still end up paying for that indecision, I think. 4-1 to Parabellum. What a transformation this has been.
I don't think the Parabellum guys will have had any concern about coming in here as underdogs, to be honest. I think, you know, for me, I think, yeah, absolutely, I'll take that on. That takes the pressure off us. There's zero expectation.
That's it. No pressure, no expectation. If you go out, then it's what's expected. Cool. If you
already won at that point. It's a perfect position. You just come in and there's absolutely no criticism to be made. And honestly, Parabellum, they've shown us something else today. They've come out a completely different team. You know, they really are executing well. They are finding the kills. I'm referring to the previous game as well. I know we haven't seen them on attack here yet, but SSG have got their defence yet to go, which you would expect SSG to be more effective on the defence than they have been on the attack. But Parabellum, they were effective last time.
Saw someone popped up in chat earlier and said they had 250,000 points on Parabellum to win this game. There are some brave souls in chat. That is all I will say. There are some braver souls in the server. Again, we keep on speaking about Parabellum and what they're potentially doing here. I'm sniffing an overtime already. I can see a world where SSG go onto the defense and start taking a good number of rounds, and it gets up towards that kind of 11th round. There's a clutch to come out. We go through to round 12, and SSG force it over into overtime, and then we do it all over again. I know we keep on saying that teams are going to be knackered after a game or two, but honestly, after a couple of 15-round barn burners, the adrenaline high that you'll be on, the riding, the up and down, that's what's going to wear you out. Not the amount of games that you played, but the adrenaline rise up and down.
Euphoria on the Echo, just trying to play on top of the hatch there, had it reinforced, but it has been blown from underneath by the Hibana of Canadian, who takes a lot of damage. Des, looks like it was from an attempt at a run out there. Penguin and Esker just roaming around the map as a duo, causing a nuisance to themselves. And this is the thing, Parabellum just never seem to let SSG settle into anything. They're always trying to hassle them on the flanks. They're always trying to find that unexpected angle, that nitro from beneath. They're just always trying to keep SSG on the back foot, keep them on their toes, and so far, so good.
Got a few drones being taken out, at least in that initial point. Still 7 remaining, mind you, so still plenty of information to play behind here. What is that from Penguin? Just step in front of the window and go for it, why not? They tried to complete the kill with the smoke coming out, but sadly, it doesn't pay off. But you know who does? Bosco. 2 kills coming out, gonna save Canadian. 5 versus 3. If you're ever gonna take an attacking round, SSG, this is the one to take.
43 seconds left to go. Out goes the nade underneath from Rampy, finding the feet of Esker. It just got a lot cheaper for him to buy shoes as he gets taken down from underneath. Fultz with a double, moving in for a flawless round for SSG there.
Those are the kind of rounds that I expected to see more of, where Parabellum try to do something a little bit crazy. They peek onto the double window, but SSG collect the kills through to sheer mechanical gun power. And they proceed to use strats to outplay them with information, the sort of things that you'd expect of a World Championship side. But to give it to Parabellum, they're 4-2 up at the half. After a defensive half, admittedly, that is still 4-2. Again, they fear no one. Penguin himself said in the interview videos that have been rolling around during the breaks, I prefer to attack because it's like a puzzle game. The defenders put up a number of obstacles for you. You've got to figure out the way around it. Now, I imagine we'll have a brief rehost coming through here that is a 6-pick bug that's happened a couple of times so far in the tournament, unfortunately, where players are unable to 6-pick. Imagine we'll go and get that sorted and then jump back into things in a short amount of time. Gives us a good chance to take a brief pause, though. Those last couple of rounds, relatively static from Parabellum, but the first few, when they were roaming around the map, getting up in the flanks of SSG, that's when SSG looked a little dumbfounded about what to do about it.
They did, and I don't think that this pause, as you say, it's a problem quickly solved. We'll get that lobby rebuilt very quickly and get everybody back in, but I don't think it does SSG any harm at this point. It just allows them to sort of take the foot off the gas and just settle back into things here. They've just won the round, so it's a nice time to just bookend that half and say, right, that's done now. We're coming back in onto the defence. This is where we need to be strong, and this is where we need to start locking it down. Parabellum, we can see they're having 4 back-to-back rounds, though. Just the bookends of 1 and 6 that went to SSG.
You love to see it. And I imagine for both teams, this will kind of come as a blessing that they get to have a bit of a conversation. No doubt for Parabellum, it's a, right, boys, we've absolutely smashed it. Now let's make sure our attacks are in order, that we're aligned on what it is that we want to do. And for SSG, okay, compose ourselves. It didn't go as well as we hoped. Wasn't quite the stomping over them that Oxygen had, for example. But we know we can play well on this map. We know that when on the defensive side of Oregon, we can pull out some wonders. And I think it's worth taking a look at a couple of the numbers for Space Station when they played in this map. They haven't won it recently. They've lost to Dark Zero, to Oxygen, the Sonics. It has been by far and away one of their weakest maps, so much so that it was always banned away by them and very, very rarely banned away by their opponent. Goes to show a little bit of a lack of confidence almost in this map, and maybe coming in here, was it the right call to let Parabellum go to a map like this where you might wager off the back of one result they'd be weak on, might turn out to be one of their strongest, Ace?
Well, it's interesting that you say that, Des, because you look at the, let's look at the sort of reality of that situation and think about it. You as a team know that Oregon is not the best place for you to be going. So then you think, well, who do we feel in this group that we can beat? And you would look at Parabellum potentially and think, yeah, we should have a good shot against Parabellum. They're a team that we should be competitive with. So let's go to Oregon there. Because we're going to have to play Oregon at some point. You know that. You're not coming to the Invitational and not playing Oregon. So, let's play the bands to try and take it to one of those games that we might expect to win. Or, at least have a strong suspicion that we should be winning. So that could be backfiring a little bit here, Des, because they've just caught Parabellum at the wrong time on the wrong day. Let's not forget, Parabellum have bounced into this game, coming in off a win against NIP, and that is absolutely huge.
It is. We are back in game. We load in for round number 1, and of course going to start off on the downstairs. Fultz picking up that Vigil, and Rampy on the Jaeger just screams to me that we're going to see a bit of roaming out of those two, and almost like the curses it's always meant to be. You start talking about it, gets picked away. Going to be the Aruni stepping in with those laser gates. So I'm seeing the laser gates, we've got the ADSs, we've got the shields, we've got the Evil Eyes. This kind of screams to me, in a way, that SSG are relying on a lack of coordination from Parabellum, or that they haven't got the optimal setup to deal with all of the utility that is going to get thrown at them. Looking at the attack inside, they've got the 6 flashbangs, they've got the Ash and the Zofia, they've got frags, they've got the air jabs, they've got plenty to deal with what's being thrown at them here. It'll be really interesting to see how this second half plays out, and whether or not, in a few rounds' time, we'll be celebrating a Parabellum win and 7 teams being sat on a 2-2 scoreline.
Will Bosco just preparing electrical there, opening up the line of sight, so they tend to reinforce one side, as we can see, and then open up a line of sight on the other, and that just allows them the sort of quick peek option, not only from behind the reinforcement, but also from pillars as well. There is a very nice long angle there, all the way through onto the bunker door. Thank you, Medics, for the expert flyover.
As he always so often does. Gives us a full overview of what's going on. So far for SSG, there's a couple of them out on the run by the looks of it. Fultz and Rampy looking to contest them out in the shower corridor. Now, Spirits should be more than aware of this. We'll indeed see Rampy on the drone. This is normally where, as a Jaeger, once you've been spotted out by a drone, you fall back to a more inner position. You hope to catch another drone on the pusher and hope that it's not a player stepping into that. When that pre-fire coming through confirms that he expected it more to be the latter, that a player might be pushing in off the back of that drone.
Spirits already established inside of Small Tower there. Will be joined by Esker, so they can now start this roam clearance. But as they are going to come head-to-head with Fultz and Rampy in kitchen and security. These are not going to be easy gunfights to win, but they could be pivotal to the round. If Parabellum come in here and get the win straight away on attack, this could be catastrophic to SSG's game. Now we're going to see Penguin open things up with the kill onto Fultz down in the freezer. That puts him on ice and leaves us 5 versus 4 for Parabellum inside of the first minute.
It's going to hurt losing Fultz as well, because we normally have this sort of 5-point setup on the downstairs, looking in towards freezer, one playing inside a utility or playing an elbow, to one playing in Shiko, one on the back of pillar. You look for that kind of crossfire between Rampy and the guy who would normally play off to his left-hand side. That's simply not going to happen now that you're down a man, so he's at risk of being pressed potentially. We'll keep a close eye on that, because for now it looks like Parabellum's focus is going to come entirely on trying to push in through utility. We know how bad one-dimensional pushes can be on this site, mind you. Looks like it might be E-Box at the same time that it's also going to step up to be utility.
Euphoria just looking for the angle onto the rear stage stairs there. Esker going to join as well, up for the breach there, and then they can really start applying pressure and trying to get themselves down those stairs to work into and around pillars. Sona, he uses the drone that he's got sat in the drone hole. SSG need to be more aware of that one, Des, because they're going to get punished here. He knows exactly what the Mastro's playing, but somehow, by good grace, Canadian managed to survive for a few seconds.
Oh, Nate!
Shot down, thinking Nate's going to kill himself with the Goyo shield there, leaving us now 1 versus 2 as Rampy finds the first. Work still to be done, but the onus is all on Parabellum here to come and win this round.
Plant going down now inside of Laundry to the south. Rampy needs to go aggressive, but doesn't know that Spirits is being a rat on the ground. Finds the kill from the spray lower. Parabellum, they're doing it, Ace. It's 5 and 2. There has got to be some magic.
Do not adjust your monitor, set, phone, or whatever else you might be watching this game on. The score is correct that you are seeing. Parabellum are coming in here and racing towards the potential for a second victory on the day. They've already beaten NIP, Des. I think if you'd have said to the Parabellum guys when they got up this morning, right, guys, you've got NIP and SSG today, you can have 2 wins if you want, they'd have bitten your hand.
They would have absolutely loved it, I agree. Whoa, what a turnaround it would be. I've got a couple of questions around Canadian just blindly walking into Freezer, by the way. I'm not sure if he was unaware that 2 of them had pushed inside of Freezer and were ready to aggress onto him if he came close. They narrowly missed him through the soft wall, looking in towards utility as he was coming down highway, but as soon as he stepped through the doorway, there were 2 there ready to contest him, even play for the trade, and you just saw health bars on the side of SSG get eviscerated. So many of them disappearing so fast. 1, unfortunately, to a friendly Goyo Vulcan shield. For Parabellum at 5 and 2, they win this round 6 and 2. Oh my god. Can't do it. My temple's going mental. We're both stood here, head in hands like, is this really going to be a thing that we're going to be saying at the end of the day? That Parabellum have beaten SSG and NIP? If you had predicted either of those results, or even better yet, both of them, you have my respect.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, Des, like, the NIP game was close, but right now, Parabellum are in the driving seat completely and utterly, and they could take this 7-2, and that is the thing is, it gets bigger and bigger, Des. There's layers and layers to this. Right, so Parabellum come out and beat NIP and SSG. Now people have got to play Parabellum on Sunday, and they might just have to play them to survive in the SI. This just gets bigger and bigger. You're not wanting to face a Parabellum that are running over teams like this.
And let's not forget as well that Giants beat TSM. The whole world is falling upside down. It's absolute mania in Group B for the one that everyone looked at and said, oh, bit more clear-cut, 4 NA teams, they'll be strolling their way through it.
Easy street.
Reaper still in tears somewhere, I am sure. Delicious, delicious Reaper tears. Round number 8 underway anyway. Let's look at how this... And yes, I absolutely love
I'm going to defend Reaper. I'm going to come in. I've got Reaper's back, Des. I'm going to come in.
No, don't do it. Just let him mold a little bit. That's what it's all about. They're starting up inside of Attic anyway. This is where they're going to start the ingress points out. I'm wondering now if there's also going to be a push inside of Master at the same time, because normally you take 1 and a 2. You push from the same angle at the same time, and you can normally pinch the player out who's playing inside of Attic. At least that is the hope. But for Spirits, I thought for a second he was going to bolt his way up white there and cause some trouble. Tagged out a little bit earlier on. Now he's going to burn his way through those Goyo shields.
And this is the thing, Des. You know, it's easy to clear utility like that from underneath because they know exactly where the shield is going to be placed because it's common spot. So
again, another opening from Penguin, by the way.
I don't know what's happening here, Des. Penguin getting the opener. 5 versus 4. Out goes the Nitro. Spirits will lose his life as Fultz finds that kill with a headshot. And that leaves us 4 versus 4, all squared away for the time being for SSG. But this is absolute chaos on the top floor, Des, as Penguin once again gets the kill. Headshot onto Rampy, and once again a C4 sails out and finds the explosive kill. Esker, he gains the advantage once again for Parabellum. 3 versus 2, 50 seconds left to go. It's a triple for Fultz, Des, but Canadian's down. It's 1v1. And Fultz, he's looking for the ace. He's going to just slow the pace down. He's going to hold his angle. He needs to find Sonar, and he does. That's all 5, Des. SSG come back fighting, or more specifically, Fultz comes back fighting.
I love how he just kind of raises his hands to either side, just like, and what? And what? On Fultz, look at the kind of stats I put up in stage 1 and watch me do it all over again. That's going to do something to lessen the blow, I guess, but they are still 2 rounds behind Parabellum. And I'll always say it, when you're relying on one man to do all the work for you, it's never a good sign. Let's hope that can inspire the rest of SSG to up their game, because my God, did he have a field day on that Goyo. It all started with the charge through Spirits at the bottom of White Stairs, ran through him like he didn't exist, took his life, back on site, C4, bam, it was as simple as that.
Oh, he got every single drop out of that operator that he could, didn't he? He was squeezing the trigger on that Vector. at the perfect moment every single time, and it was just the finish was I'm not going to say the ace was easy, it wasn't, but that finish, he was just right place, right time, and it just showed great positioning from Fultz. He knew exactly where the push was going to come from Sonar, and he was able to close it down. But looking ahead, we are in round number 9, 5-3 now to Parabellum, and this is the interesting point, Des. We're looking at a Parabellum side that, if we are being fair, is less experienced, isn't playing against this sort of quality regularly. Now, what can something like an ace from Fultz do to that team? How's that going to impact the mental game? Is that going to send them back into their shells? Are they going to be reeling away from that? From the Parabellum I've seen today, I don't think so. They're not playing scared, but it's going to be interesting to see over the next round or two whether that has any major impact or not.
Fultz currently sat at 13-5, by the way. I appreciate there was a rehost. In case you want us to keep you updated on the top fragger in the game, no doubt getting 5 kills in 1 round is going to help you massively. 8 prior to that for Fultz. Next below that is Rampy on 8, and then Bosco and Nade both on 3. Canadian sat on just the 1, and on the other side a bit more evenly distributed. You've got Esker and Spirit sat on 8, Penguin on 6, Euphoria on 2, and Sona on 3. Oh. Doesn't know there's a man next to the window, I assume.
I don't think he did, and Fultz was just crouching in the corner for cover life there, just letting the bullets rain over his head. But he's going to get a kill here, Des. He's going to get this as they move through. It could be 2, it could be 3 for Fultz, dare I say. He's just going to hold that trigger. An easy trigger discipline. Don't shoot the drone. Don't shoot the drone, Fultz. Lets it go. Canadian gets the first. Fultz is just biding his time here, Des. There's 3 on the cards if he plays this right. In comes 1. He gets them. Can he get a second? Yes, he can. Beautifully played from Fultz. He nearly gets all 3, but he's not going to throw his life away. He dips back up those white stairs. 7 kills without a response for Fultz, Des, and Canadian gets 1 in there for good measure.
Make it 8. Why not go the whole distance at this point? Full eat up, boy. Let's go. Euphoria, the last one left. Can he make it 9? And again, I said you can't rely on one man to drag you over the finish line, but if he can do it, just let him sing. It's 9 kills back to back and a flawless round for SSG. They're coming back screaming into this.
It's under 4K for Fultz. Unbelievable play, and that is exactly what SSG needed right now. This was beautiful, Des. I love those moments where players take that decision to think that drone hasn't seen me, and there's a lesson to be learnt in there for Parabellum, unfortunately, and that is, Des, check your corners.
The previous round, it was the constant running around that gave them an issue. They brought along the Nomad and said, hey, maybe we control him on the roam. The next round, it steps in. There's no drone. There's the drone problem. So what do you do now? Do you bring along a Jackal? Do you... I don't know. What are you going to do to control a man who's walking around collecting 9 kills like it's candy at Halloween? It's absolutely insane. It's 5-4. Parabellum, let's not forget, they need 1 round to get this into overtime. I think at that point, if you said to them, look, you've got a chance of beating SSG, problem is it's in overtime, they will bite your hand off for that every day of the week. They've done the hard yards in the first half. 1 more round is all they need, but for SSG, riding on that momentum, and you know what this team is like, especially when Troy's on the team, they hype each other up like no man's business. They go absolutely crazy, and no doubt Fultz here is feeling absolutely jacked after 9 kills straight. Let's see if he can make it 10.
That's the big problem for Parabellum right now. You just know that the energy in the SSG camp is going through the roof at this point in time, and that's not just going to lead to more kills for Fultz. It's going to mean Rampy gets in there and hits a few. Bosco gets involved. Canadian gets in on the action, and thinking Nade is feeling confident as well. It spreads throughout the team, and we're going to see all of them stepping up. Parabellum, Des, they are in grave danger right now, let me tell you. If SSG level this up here, I think they go on to take it.
I mean, they've got to do 3 more rounds back to back. That'll be 5 in total. And at some point, you've got to wonder, when does the steam run out for Fultz? When does it slow down? And we have a more, air quotes, normal round step in. Hopefully not here if you're an SSG fan. Hopefully he carries on with the spree and they bring themselves even. Time will tell. For the side of Parabellum, looks to be once again this western push in, and SSG now having changed sites are racing out to meet them. A couple holding out towards Showers. One of the most common spots of Maestro on this map is playing where he is just now. Normally, because you could use the impacts to deny any of the Habana charges, the Selmas, whatever else it might be, off of the wall. Interesting, Escara's getting caught out there. That may yet come back to hinder them. It depends where he's putting it on. I think he's finally got them on there. Unfortunate.
Just take that one out on the windowsill.
Why not?
There's no splash damage as it explodes. Now, Fultz, He, Des, wasn't happy with getting 9 kills. He's just...
Oh, that is disgusting, that Maverick hole! Oh! I've seen a Thermite do that, but not a Maverick.
Now, as Fultz gets taken out, that will be 9 kills, and the response that Parabellum needed, there will be no multi-kill for Fultz in this round. I was just about to say that 9 wasn't enough for him. He brought the Alder this time as well, but a great start for Parabellum, 5 versus 4, and they managed to put some shots towards Rampy. He was lucky to get away without any damage done to him there. Sona still aware of his location and trying to pressure, but Rampy, he is slippery at this point, will not be nailed down, and gets a kill onto Penguin. 4 versus 4. Rampy still not dealt with. Sona is looking to push through. Can he find the man?
Oh, he's down, he doesn't know.
He has downed him, but is unaware. Of course, the pro players play without the points on, so they don't get any sort of notification that Rampy has been down there, but he's unlikely to be able to get
hit the next owner.
50. There we go. Sona getting in. All the kills raining in. Sona says anything Fultz can do, I can certainly have an attempt at. And there it is.
Oh my.
Spirits and Sona taking Parabellum over the line and onto match point.
I can hear Demo going nuts on the other side. They came round earlier and told us that Giants had beat TSM. We were like, what? I can't wait to go around there and tell them that Parabellum have beaten SSG if it goes that far. 6 and 4. Parabellum are 1 round away. A team that many would look at and say they are the bottom rated team, bar none. They are 1 round away from beating the reigning world champions in their entirety. Canadian came back for this. They were ready. Parabellum, suddenly they become the crowd favourite.
Certainly have, and there's a number of teams here at the Six Invitational that I think are starting to attract that attention, particularly from the neutral fans. You know, maybe you're an EUL fan and you like Na'Vi, but they're not here, or you know, maybe you're a big fan of many teams around the world that haven't made it here, and you're looking for that team to be able to support, to be able to back. And Parabellum is certainly becoming one of them, along with I think the APAC regions are always very popular for good reason. Of course, your Cloud9, your Cyclops, your Giants, but also Furia from LATAM as well. And I'm loving seeing these teams that are a little bit newer, a little bit more unknown, coming out and having these performances.
I don't feel so bad about my predictions being so bad, to be honest. If the quality of games that I get, or that we get, is like this, in exchange for me, well, looking like an idiot, I'll absolutely take it every day of the week. That is the only time that SSG are going to have to discuss. Their timeout is over. We are back into the action, or will be momentarily, as we go through these final picks. Canadian stepping away from the Maestro. Oh, what a time to bring out something sweaty. We've seen a few teams doing just this tournament so far. BDS especially torturing teams with the clash. And clearly SSG is saying it's our time to try and do the same. Fair play. Why would you not? Because whatever they've been trying so far, it's only been momentarily successful. Because look at it this way, 2 rounds have been won by Fultz single-handedly, a 5K and a 4K. If you were looking at any other way, SSG would only have 2 rounds right now. They would be completely on their back, slapped off the park by Parabellum. This match would be over, it'd be 7-2. So they've got to change something, and I feel this might be the change they need as long as they play around the clash. We've seen so many teams do it excellently well, where you've got people standing around behind him, waiting to peek out for the shots, for example, or just playing off the information that's given. But I think if you stick him in a single position and say, hold this down by himself without support, that's when it can crumble before their very eyes. And SSG's domain, it starts to crumble, and someone else looks to lift that hammer come the end of SI.
Looks like SSG are possibly going to be trying to hold on to Armory and Trophy, particularly for as long as possible, Des. We've got a Goyo shield in there, we've got the attic reinforced, we've got 1 reinforcement on the master bedroom wall, just all aiming towards keeping control of that Trophy area and not allowing Parabellum to get themselves established inside of master to be able to look to get a plant down in game, because of course from Trophy, behind that Goyo shield, you can just continually hassle into master, onto the door, onto the closet, and not allow them that access.
Alrighty, let's get into it. See how they play this one out. Canadian, it seems to be, is holding inside of attic, not one that we've never seen before. In fact, what we've often seen there is a shield committed in alongside a clash. You have 2 playing there. In this case, it's Nade playing close by with the ADSs. So to me, it just screams that they want to hold inside of attic for as long as they can, hold Parabellum back. And they're very aware of this, it feels, with 3 of them currently pushing in through Big Tower. They want to get control of attic, and they want to force Canadian out even.
We know who you meant, Des.
You know exactly what I meant, Canadian. To be fair,
he's a man that goes by many names.
I really wanted earlier on for Thinking Canadian to clutch up, because I could have gone the Thinking Canadian goes big, but it was never going to happen. And it didn't, unfortunately.
Well,
save that one for a rainy day.
Keep that one in the bank. 1 minute 30 left to go. Penguin droning in through Attic there, and they're going to be aware at this point that Canadian is playing on that clash, so I hope that Parabellum have got themselves an idea of exactly how they're going to deal with it. Now, Fultz, he's all the way downstairs on the Goyo, so they need to be aware of that. He could potentially have the opportunity for a flank. He's moving towards the rear stage stairs, Des, and he's going to start creeping his way up, but it looks like Esker's presence is just going to force him away now. He's back down at the bottom of the rear stage stairs. Can he find the man on the electrical hatch? He can down him. Out goes the Nitro. That's going to secure the kill. Fultz opening things up with a great start for SSG all the way from the basement. Spirit's looking to move towards those freezer stairs. I think he's hoping to cut off the return of Fultz, but you got to remember there's 3 ways out of that basement. Out goes another Nitro, unsuccessfully this time, as Spirit's manages to just dip his way along to the bottom of the white stairs there. Euphoria doubling up. They still don't have a handle on Fultz, Des.
I mean, just like Parabellum, they didn't have a handle on them from when SSG were the ones on the attacking side earlier on, mind you. So we'll see if that really comes back to sting them. Spirits that can just push straight the way up here. Surely they know now that Banshee's been smashed out that there is someone coming up. White, Rampy and Bosco looking to challenge. They've only got 20 seconds to go, Ace, and I feel like SSG have done the right work here. They've successfully stalled Parabellum out, and they've got to go for this now. They're pushing in. Bosco finds one. The second goes down. Looks like this is going to go to a round number 12 potentially to see how things play out. Euphoria is left in a 1 versus 3 with 5 seconds to play. There'll be nothing more to do here except pad up some KD. He's got nothing else to do, I don't think, on this one, Ace, to be honest.
He's thinking, I know Bosco's down, I'm going to get the kill, I'm going to put that one on the board at least. So he secures that, but then the timer runs out. That's the 3 minutes over, and SSG do take us all the way to number 12. This could be another overtime for Parabellum.
Surely this is the point as Parabellum where you call the overtime and just use the time to have a conversation again, break the momentum of SSG and to slow things down. I wonder if they step again into the clash, because that is now going to play in the backs of the minds of the side of Parabellum about what if we see that again? How are we going to break it apart? The only real, I suppose, condolence they've got is that they don't have to attack that side again. We now go onto the downstairs inside of Supply and Laundry. Canadian staying on the Maestro for now. There is a 6 pick across to the Valkyrie of all things. Maybe a bit of an unexpected one given they've made so much use of the Goyo so far, but that is what they're going to commit to, Ace. It all comes down to this. Overtime or bust for SSG.
Down to Laundry and Supply Room we go. Fultz straight upstairs on the Valkyrie there. So interested to see just exactly. He's gone to do the hatches. He stays up there. We've got one cam deployed there to keep an eye on the main lobby and then straight up to the top floor. So it looks like another fairly extended hold here from SSG, looking to get mobile around the map. We just saw it from Fultz last time around. You don't tend to get much more mobile than that. It's not often we see players utilising the basement for a Dorm's hold, but he really did utilise it to great effect, as he has done throughout this game, to be honest. Fultz is absolutely fine. Look at that, 10 and 3 since the rehost there.
18 and 7 in total.
Overall. Absolutely.
He's almost got more kills than the rest of the team combined. Rampy's on 10, Bosco and Nade are on 4, and Canadian is on 2. He gets 2 kills in this round, and the rest of his team die out. He's got more kills on the same number of kills as the rest of his team. That's just how much heavy lifting he is doing. And on the other side, it's much more scattered. Esker and Spirits on 10. The kills all scattered amongst the rest of the team beyond that. Spicy is the one word we've got for this round, I think, to describe it. The Parabellum, without the clash to greet them, imagine probably being a little bit more comfortable. Hopefully the drones have confirmed that for them now. Nice camera for Fultz, actually, and without an IQ on side. I wonder if they have the presence of mind to spot these out, because they're all positioned towards Big Tower.
Here we go, Des. Here we go. Round 12. Does this go to overtime, or can Parabellum take the second opportunity? They've got to close this one out now. That is extremely early use there of the Toxic Babe canisters from Bosco. No choice as the pressure mounts. He's going to reinforce up there, and that's not the end of the world, Des. He's stopped that early push. He's got 2 in pocket for the later round to try and potentially impact on a plant, but it's good progress from Parabellum. Inside of the first minute, they've got him pushed away from the elbow there. They've reinforced it back up. They do have hard breach on side. They've got both Maverick and Hibana, so they can open that up for access to site if they wish to do so. But for the time being, Des, once again, I'm a little bit concerned about Parabellum's handle on these roamers and exactly where Rampy is particularly.
focusing up towards the north, so still this big tower focus, which earlier on had a couple of cameras positioned in it. Not sure how many of those still remain in this case. They've got themselves down on the north side quite easily here. Where on earth are SSG? Have they baited the man thinking there's a south push coming in? Because they'll be absolutely wrong. They're in a spot where the 4 members have now converged in. Should be for SSG a chance for them to rotate back in by the looks of it. And look at these longer angles. This is absolute filth being held by Fultz. If he can connect some heads there, it'll be big. Spirits with the opening onto Bosco, 5 versus 4, and there's still 60 seconds to play. There is a lot of time to work with here, so I wouldn't be too nervous if you're a Parabellum player, unless Fultz starts popping off, which he's already started to do. Shuts down the entry killer himself in Penguin Ace.
Looking for more as Fultz just dips himself over that freezer wall and back into sight. So
no way.
Start putting the diffuser down, Des. He's just baiting out the Nitro. Perfect play from Sonar. He knows he's got all day to do this. 35 seconds.
Oh, Rampy, what?
Rampy! He drops down out of nowhere, Des, like a god from heaven. He comes in and finds that kill, and that could be the one that SSG needed. That could be the one to break this attack from Parabellum. 4 versus 1. Rampy's unstoppable. He's on a rampage.
Him and Fultz together have just saved that round. I want to go on with the Assassin's Creed reference, to be honest. Dropping out of nowhere and not quite sticking a knife in his back, but it was close enough. And you saw, I forget who it was playing on the Nomad in that round. They kind of, it was Euphoria. He kind of scrambled to be on the hatch like, oh God, someone's just got through my watch. How on earth has that happened? And they will be asking that question. How on earth has Rampy just got above us, came down beyond us, and shut down the plant? Because it was being played so well by Sona, dodging in and out of those potential C4s, but no one expects a Rampy from above. It's 6-6. It's overtime. The whole onus or the momentum of this game has swung to SSG's side. And for Parabellum, your heart's going to break if they throw this one away. Fultz is 21-7. He could go on to do absolute wonders here if he carries on playing the way that he is.
I think we've got to be cautious. We've got to be cautious, Des. This isn't down to Parabellum throwing it away. This is Fultz, mostly, and Rampy coming in and taking it away. They are playing fantastically well at the minute. Parabellum are just scrambling to try and keep a hold of it. The one thing that I would say, Des, that they need to get control of quickly is those roamers. They have to find them. They have to close them out. We called out Rampy in the early round, Des, and what happened? They allowed him back in to hurt them.
Always the damn roamers. Those damn roamers. Imagine Parabellum be trying to make good use of them when they go into the defense in the next round, given their 2 least successful rounds were the ones where they played quite static on site. Canadian is back on this clash, and this is the puzzle. Penguin said, again in those interviews, that he likes playing on attack because it's like solving a puzzle. You've got a puzzle in front of you. It's a very difficult one. It's like playing Sudoku on the hardest difficulty with Canadian playing on this clash, but you need to find a way around him if you're going to be able to go through this round, boys. Otherwise, SSG have pulled off a miraculous comeback. Let's not forget, it was 5-2 to SSG at one point in this fixture race. They've battled back through to overtime. It's what we wanted to see, but there's still that chance of 7 teams being on a 2-2 scoreline. I'm
going to be very careful how I word this, Des, because I don't want to curse a thing, but I don't think we'd be doing our jobs if I didn't highlight Fultz is on a lot of kills right now.
21-7.
I wasn't going to give the numbers, but there's 3 rounds. There's 3 rounds of overtime to go here, and Fultz, he's on a lot of kills, so we'll see whether he can find any more to his name. I'm sure that's not going to be his overall focus. SSG will want to get the win here, and they'll want to push themselves up that Group B leaderboard and securing, or closer to securing, their position in the playoffs. Now Rampy detonates that Nitro, will not have any success with it. In comes the flashbang, that's just going to force him back. Once again, a lot of utility deployed inside of Trophy there. They're not actually playing with anybody sort of right hard up against that shield for the time being. They've just dipped themselves back away from that fight. Euphoria just holding a tight angle there. Can't hit the shot onto Fultz, who moves very quickly across the window there. Would have needed absolutely practically inhuman reflexes to catch him.
CCE shield is ready.
Alrighty. I mean, if they brought Fultz down there, very different conversation we'd be having right now, because again, Big Fragger would be off the field. You'd be in a 5 versus 4 and you start raiding it for Parabellum. My concern at the minute being, we've got 70 seconds remaining. They're only just getting control of Trophy and starting to push in through Attic. They need to force Canadian away, and hopefully that's what these ex-Kairos are going to help with. We speak about this an awful lot. Opening that wall up denies you playing inside of Attic, and he is forced backwards. That's some of the control they need. Now you start thinking about the plan, but look at Rampy and Fultz. Those damn little rascals are at it again. They could be on Rome here to make a huge impact in the dying moments of this round.
They could be, and my question would stand once again, Des, and that is how aware are Parabellum of their locations underneath and how much trouble they could potentially cause? I'm thinking particularly with an armory stairs flank. Fultz also has the nitro in hand. Des, he is in a position to deny an attempt at a plant vertically. Now then, this is better from Parabellum. They're chasing him down. They're aware that there are players underneath. He drops down, but Spirit, he's all over that, Des. He knows exactly where he's going. Esker and Euphoria get kills in sight. 4 versus 2, and it's falling apart for SSG right now. Penguin starts to get that diffuser down. 5 seconds.
Oh my God.
Kills continue to rain in, and that is that. Esker closes out round 13 for Parabellum. It is advantage to them again. It's another match point opportunity, Des, but they are not going to continue to be given opportunities to close this out all night long.
Most scarily, it's an attacker round win. We've only had 5 of those in total now across the whole game. 4-2 halves is how things have shaped up. SSG have got it all to do here. Massively stacked against them. We need to see some magic fly. And think back to the first half when 4 rounds in a row went the way of Parabellum. Only rounds 1 and 6 went across to the side of SSG. And in one of those rounds, Fultz found a 3K, found the entry in the first round. And in round number 6, Bosco got the entry. We need to see some magic here, boys. We need to muster up that World Championship spirit that you've got. The thing that took you all the way against NIP last year and got you the win. Let's get it in right now. This isn't, of course, to be knocked out of the tournament, just in case you're tuning in and suddenly absolutely petrified by it. But again, 7 teams sit at 2-2. We've still got a couple more games to go today, but going into the final games on Sunday, it's anyone's guess who goes home.
It really is now going down to Laundry and Supply. Not a surprise at all. Parabellum on the defence. They won 2 times down here. They tried to defend it 3 times. SSG did get the win in round 1, so there is hope for them yet. Utility being applied to the bunker. Not an awful lot at this point though. Spirits gets in there and puts 1 ADS down. That's going to be intense. It just reaches round, manages to get that hatch electrified. A nice little placement that you can take away and try at home in your own games. It's a little bit less likely to get picked up, that one.
Here's one you can take home from your workshop today.
I love it. That's what it's all about. That's a big part of watching Pro League for me. It's so that I can still go and be rubbish in ranked, but at least I feel like I'm doing the right things, you know?
You have the right idea, like, oh, I can employ that, I can get this drone in there, I can get this really good position, then an Ash runs into site and dies versus 5 people and goes, team?
And tells me that I don't know what I'm doing.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Well, hopefully for SSG, they know what they're doing in this round because, again, all the pressure currently stands on them. Parabellum about to hand a defeat to the world champions, a storyline that no one could have predicted coming into today. Apart from the odd 1 or 2 of you in chat that have put a lot of points down on this, or what few points you had left over after Parabellum took the win earlier on today. 2 wins, like you say, against NIP and SSG. They'd have taken that at the start. They'd have bit your hand off and paid you good money for that, I bet. 2 minutes remain. And I think the focus is going to be, by the looks of it, up towards the north a little. Maybe not. Everyone's out to the south. Forget about that. Scratch that, guys. Change your plan. Change your plan. Cut the tape. Cut the record. Things are going to change over. You want to get Bosco inside to get this hatch opened up inside E-Box regardless. Just having these options later in the round is a big deal. And so for him to get this opened up now that they've got the other crucial hatches opened up for them, you start thinking about, is this going to be a 3-way push or are they going to focus entirely on the south?
There's a lot of pace from SSG here. You can see them all moving with a purpose. There's just clearing utility as they go, but I'm sure that they know that being on the attack has not been ideal for them so far, and so there's a lot of work for them to do. What they don't want is to be running short of time and have that added pressure now. Sona, he's looking ready, just about to deploy that first Toxic Babe canister, and perfectly timed it will be. We had an SSG player just looking to move down those rear stage stairs, so that's going to just prevent them doing so for 10 to 20 seconds as that smoke just disperses. But I'm sure that Sauna will carry on for the time being. Now then, we've got Bosco and Canadian looking to push themselves into freezing as it started. This is how it starts. Esker gets the kill onto Rampy, 5 versus 4. Parabellum avoid. They feel like they are high on life at the minute, high on kills, as they come in here and just start to dismantle this SSG attack.
Higher on standings as well. Bosco trading one back. A second coming in for Fultz. 22 kills. It's what you want to see. But Euphoria brings down the Slayer on the map. Spirits, another one. 3 versus 2 and 30 seconds to play with. SSG down to the south have got to make this work. Canadian sees one. You can see it building up in his face. You know what's coming. The last 2 members of Parabellum held out in elbow right now. Canadian sticking the plant. Bosco support off to the left. This is going to get put down, and it's going to leave for Parabellum to come back and make magic happen. Otherwise, it's all the way to round number 15. Sona, they need to get one of them inside a freezer, it feels like, to contest this. Turn it into 1v1s. Let's not leave it into a spot where they have the crossfire on you. Spirit stepping forwards. They know from those bullets where one man is, and Sona, you've got to make it happen. 20 seconds to find the 2 kills and start the plant timer. 7 seconds it's going to have to be. Sona goes for the start, but they're not committing it. They've got a drone or 2 lying around here. Ace, they've got the information they need. He's going to stick. When do they peek? There comes one. Do they commit for it? Bosco gets the long range slam down. Spirits is left alone. Don't think he'll find anything here. We're going all the way, Ace. It's going to be round 15 to see who walks away between SSG and Parabellum.
Spacestation Gaming, they do not like to give us an easy life, do they? We're going all the way to 15. Parabellum still fighting here, but just unable to keep Canadian from getting in there in the 2v2 and getting that diffuser down on the ground. It was beautifully played by SSG in that 2v2 at the end, Des.
And 2 attacking round wins in overtime. Who'd have thought it? No way you'd take that, or at least expect that after how things played out. There was a Bosco with the Bosco with a 3K in the round. You can see, as I mentioned, the tensions building up as well. Interesting fact for you, in both of these 2 rounds, it has been the opening kill coming through for the side of Parabellum. Space Station, one of the teams with the best entry stats in NAL Stage 1, plus 29 in total, are being matched and even surpassed here somewhat by the side of Parabellum. And just to make it complete in round 15, there's a 6th pick over to the Clash as we head downstairs.
8-4 at the minute on the entry rounds. Des in favour of Parabellum, as you say, just coming in there and playing SSG at their own game. Now, this is it, Des. 3 minutes, winner takes all. This is for the match. This is what it all comes down to right now. We will have a winner at the end of this, one way or another.
I'll take it.
Canadian just... See, that's interesting, because obviously like, these guys come in knowing exactly what the setup is, where everything's going, and Canadian and Rampy, this isn't a criticism, but just ran to reinforce the same wall, and it just goes to show, you sort of start thinking, well, the pressure's on here. You know, this is round 15. They want this win, and, you know, it starts getting that little bit more difficult to sort of think clearly and focus.
Could just be a simple slip of the mind. Again, with the pressure building up, all there is to think about in this round about, 14 rounds of experience of playing against Parabellum here, and you're asking questions of what do we remember? What were they doing here? What can we change? And especially in Canadian's mind, as the IGL, you've got...
Well, that's my point.
You've got
all
so
these other things going on. Where,
exactly. So much of that to coordinate.
A little visual display of that, I think.
Well, with those laser gates going down from Fultz, we saw him 6th pick away from that to the Valkyrie earlier on, this time round being stuck out. Medics expertly pointing out where those were placed, and some drones going out on the top floor for Parabellum. To make sure from SSG, there's no one trying to be too cheeky. The only air quotes cheeky thing being set up here is one player playing high, well not high up, but on the ground floor of Big Tower. Everyone else is on the deck. They are downstairs. It is Fultz trying to contest a couple of drones, a very common spot. Shoot a drone, repeat back downstairs. He died early last time round, and it was Rampy left defending the north entirely by himself, if you remember, Ace. So I'm keen to see if he keeps himself alive here, how well they can hold on to the north side.
Rear stage is in complete possession of Parabellum now. They're going to open the electrical hatch. They've got access to the freezer hatch from security. So far so good. Making good progress and good time, more importantly. They can start looking to pressure onto site very soon. I'm also fairly confident, Des. Yes, I thought I was right in thinking all 5 of SSG are downstairs. Now, that has been one of the key problems for Parabellum, has been dealing with those roamers and getting hit on the flank. That's not going to be possible this time around, but they do have the Clash to deal with. They have pushed down.
Oh, how did you do that?
Now, Sona, he doesn't mind that he's getting shocked by the Clash shield. He's still going to find his kill onto Rampy.
That's a beautiful opening kill. Rampy, who's had a good couple of rounds here, goes down first. A grenade comes in. Bosco's gone. That's the smokes removed too. Another grenade primed. It's going to be a step across. Coming in from Nade. Doesn't connect the crucial shot. Fultz has gone down. It's 5 versus 2. The world champions are about to lose out. Nade keeping it going. Pushing in. Can he find the second? Surely he can. No, he misses again. How do you do that? Esker with the pistol. Parabellum have beaten the world champions. And we have 7 teams on 2-2 in Group B.
Des, there was a 4K in amongst all that for Esker, I think. He went absolutely huge, or at least the 3. He went big there at the end.
Oh my God. I thought it couldn't get much better than G2 versus Team 1 with that incredible 6-round comeback. And then we step into today. 2 wins for Parabellum, NIP and SSG. Suddenly, you start thinking, if these boys get to playoffs, what happens?
I can already see the meme, Des. I can already see the meme ahead of the next Parabellum game. You know what it's going to be. It's going to be Death knocking on the doors.
Who's
you can
next?
already see it.
Who is next? You got to brace the Photoshop if you want to be able to get that one out, I think. Or Ace will be doing it straight after this game. Insanity. We joked when it was like 5-2, oh, you could see SSG coming back into this and making it to overtime. And you're like, let's not go there just yet. We're not quite there. All 15 rounds. Day 4 of SI 2021 will go down in history as one of the craziest days of international competition that we have ever seen. So much overtime. It's incredible. I love it. I don't want it to end. I'm so glad we've got more games to go. Let's go to a break so we can cool off and the analysts can break down what has been an insane game.
What does it take to create a secure community? Join us on the 2nd episode of I Call Next as we discover how to protect what's most important and enable worry-free play.
Welcome back to the desk once again, ladies and gentlemen. Group B continues to get crazier and crazier as Parabellum have successfully taken down the world champion of Siege, the current world champion. Anyway, apparently Canadians are better than a single Canadian in this instance, so we will see them push forward. And like I was saying, the group overall continues to get crazier. If a tweet I saw earlier is correct, we now have 7 teams tied for the same position, but we'll get a solid update on that in just a second. Let's take a look at exactly how that match went. Sam, break it down for us here.
Oh, man. Well, actually, in fact, Ninjas of Pajamas just won their game. Luckily, shout out to Caliber Jacob for this. Shot me a message really quickly. NIP just won, so we're actually down to 6 teams that are 2-2. But nevertheless,
As if that isn't
still,
as crazy. Like,
it's still an insane amount, right? Like, there's so many teams. And on top of that, guys, let me read you something real quick. Parabellum, their first 2 matches here at SI, they play against Makers and Oxygen. They lose both of them. 7-0'd by Oxygen, 7-3'd by Makers. They bounced back today, which should have been the most difficult thing. Absurd to even win one of these games. They're playing the previous two finalists from the Six Invitational 2020, the exact same rosters practically overall, and they beat both of them 7-4, and then an OT win against Spacestation Gaming as well. I mean, they were fighting Fultz at his absolute best. That is the most dominant I have seen Fultz this entire year, and they still got past him.
I'll be honest, Parabellum was a bit of a write-off team for me at the beginning of today based on the day one performance. I did not expect this aggressive of a rebound with how well they've been able to perform against some of these championship teams. And I mean, to be fair, same exact thing for Giants there as well. They're also rebounding, and well, that takes us into a really good storyline, because what's the next match? It's going to be Parabellum going up against the Giants.
I mean, you could, again, I just tweeted this a little bit ago. You could not script this better if you tried. If you sat down and tried to write out all of the matches for SI 2021 and say, I'm going to make this interesting, it would not even hold a candle to what is happening right now, especially on an international stage. We have a team that Parabellum have went through so many different things with this roster, not being able to get into the NAL, finally bouncing back, being able to play at the Six Invitational, and they're doing their damnedest on the biggest stage of them all against some of the best talent that we have to offer inside of Rainbow Six Siege, and they get to do it yet again to another underdog team. One team that we saw last year as well didn't have a great showing, but they're bouncing back yet again today. I'm so excited for that Giants matchup, but this Space Station Parabellum match, I think that this one's going to go down in history as one of the best Oregons that we've seen in a little while.
Well, of course, it wasn't a complete loss from Space Station. We still saw some great efforts coming out of them, specifically from Fultz having those crazy rounds inside of the middle of the match as we got towards the late portion of the second half there. He was going off. You could see this on the scoreboard now. To be fair, we had a reset at one point. The dude was sitting at like 21 plus kills by the end of the match. We'll be getting a scoreboard here in just a second to verify that. But unfortunately, all of that effort proved itself not to be enough, as still SSG took the loss here. You can see these guys celebrating very much as they earned it an 8-7 victory for Parabellum, netting out SSG by that single round.
Incredible stuff by Parabellum. And just one more thing to add, the feather cap in the cap of Fultz. He actually got 9 frags inside of 2 rounds. He missed a singular kill to have 2 aces in between 2 rounds. And if you guys did not watch this match, you need to go back and just view the entire thing, because they're from front to back. This thing's just a good read. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, pretty much the case. Fultz playing his heart out right there with a positive 12 coefficient at the end of it, but it's nothing against what we saw from players like Eska and Spirits throughout the course of that matchup. The raw aggression we were seeing on the attacking side from Parabellum, certainly something that the rest of the teams in this event are going to have to respect throughout the rest of the event if they're going to remain as much of a threat as they've been here today. It has been brutal, man. Parabellum seem to have no fear whatsoever. These wild swings directly into the sight in some cases. And the craziest part is, in a lot of circumstances, it's working. They're finding these immediate pre-fires onto players, taking them down outright, and getting the advantage they need in order to get, at minimum, into a sight, if not outright win a round.
Yeah, they are truly, truly lethal. And I love the playstyle, honestly. This is something that the entire squad has to dedicate to and be used to. And Parabellum are doing this so extremely well. And I think they've proven that over these last 2 matches, especially from what we saw up against Ninjas in Pajamas. Those gunfights were going back and forth the entire time. With Space Station Gaming, obviously, Fultz standing up and really showing what he can do, but the rest of the roster kind of lagging behind. And that's where we had that separation in between these two, where Parabellum finally edge out Space Station at the very end.
Well, like we said, the standings are very close. That's putting it lightly, to be honest. So let's go ahead and take a look at just how close they are. Like Salmon mentioned, NIP squeaking past the rest of our teams, but we now have a 6-way tie for second between SSG, Makers, TSM, Giants, Parabellum, and MIBR.
Hey, North America, I'd just like to say we're doing pretty well. We're doing pretty well, okay? Like, given the circumstances, especially how crazy this group has been so far, honestly, you can't be disappointed. We've had so many good matches. Space Station Gaming are doing extremely well with Canadian back in place. TSM, yeah, they've had some mishaps, but they're still looking quite strong. I'd say the only team on this list right now that I have the utmost concern for has got to be Oxygen.
And of course, like we already talked about earlier, the next matchup coming up here in just a few minutes is going to be Giants versus Parabellum. So this means at the end of this day, one of those 2 teams who, for a lot of people, myself included, were pretty much write-offs after what we had seen from the first day, are going to be in a tie position to be at the top of this group.
Yeah, just to, you know, kind of preface this morning I wake up, I'm like, I check the schedule, I'm like, oh, Giants Parabellum. All right, cool, we're gonna be casting that. And now I'm like, Giants Parabellum? We're gonna be casting that. I'm so excited, John. Like, it's right around the corner, guys. We're almost there, but it's so exciting to see these teams that we didn't think were really going to be able to do anything finally show up, show themselves to the grandest stage you possibly can in front of God and everybody. But ladies and gents, in order to get to the next match, we gotta stop talking. So I'm gonna do exactly that. Let's get on to this break so we can get into more Siege action. See you then.